and it's 5 hours from Cleveland, so wasn't a quick jump.
Food poisoning is sketchy. It's a weird feeling.
Dude. Sucks. It was awful,
I've had
man.
it 4 or 5 times in my life. It's never good.
That's the second time. The first time I had it was in college. It was the worst thing ever. It was way worse. This was both ends. This is when your mouth and back door. When you're it's like a cartoon. I had it in college from movie theater popcorn.
What?
That's real shit.
Movie theater
That's
popcorn
real shit,
give
dude.
you food poisoning.
Here's how we knew. Me and this other dude, we ate totally different meals all day, and this other friend of ours too. And long story short, whatever, we both woke up sick the same time, like in the middle of the night. And we had asked when I went to the doctor finally the next day, because I was sick all day. And the doctor was like, what'd you eat? I detailed it, and he goes, oh, yeah, sometimes the butter can be spoiled or rotten.
Oh, actual butter.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe that's why they use that fake-ass butter.
Hell yeah.
What is that fake-ass butter made out of?
I don't fucking know.
What the fuck is movie popcorn theater butter made out of if it's not real butter? Because most places don't have real butter.
Jamie's laughing at my sicknesses.
No, it's not.
Movie popcorn.
What do you think it is? It's like got to be some weird
some
vegetable
oil
oil
or something. Yeah, let's see.
Oh, nasty.
It was
shit.
It was weird. Yeah,
Butter
we both
flavored oil. Yeah.
Butter flavored
oily.
Can't believe it's not butter. What is that?
Ugh, margarine.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, they
You know
say
how bad that stuff is for you.
Trash.
People used to think margarine's the way to go. Like butter's terrible for you. Have some margarine. Margarine's non-dairy. It's fucking
way worse.
horrible for you. But all processed oils, you know what they're finding out from those fake meat burgers? They fed them to
Impossible Burger?
rats. And they're giving them liver cancer.
Yeah.
Pull up what the study was. Yeah. One of those, Beyond Meat or Impossible Meat or Not Really Meat, whatever the fuck it is.
yeah. Not meat, but looks like meat. We're trying to make it look like meat.
It's processed oils.
With grill marks on it. Why do they do that
The weird
shit?
it's mostly oils.
Yeah.
It's like oils from vegetables. It's very strange.
A lot of soy and shit like that.
Like those processed vegetable oils are terrible for you.
Yeah.
You know what's good for you? Olive oil. That's a good vegetable oil. Avocado oil is good for you. But like all that other shit, like canola and all that stuff's fucking terrible.
This is my question.
For you.
Is it
Here
because it's not naturally occurring?
Rat feeding studies suggest the Impossible Burger may not be safe to eat. Scroll down. This is GMO science. It says, hold on a second. Make that a little larger. Rats. What are you doing? What's going on with
You're
your
trying to
phone?
make it bigger and it's just going up.
Rats.
It's not doing
Stop. Stop moving. Go back. Jesus, Jamie. Stop. Go back. Go back.
I'm back.
No,
This is it.
no, it's not.
There it
Thank
is.
you. Thank you.
That's it for the picture.
Rats fed the the fucking text there, buddy. Rats fed the genetically modified yeast-derived protein soy. Whoa, say that word.
Lehemoglobin.
No, lehemoglobin. Lehemoglobin. That sounds like an Irishman.
Danny Lehemoglobin.
Oh, Danny Lehemoglobin.
He's a good boy. He
The
is Danny
burger's
Lehemoglobin.
key ingredient developed unexplained changes in weight gain and significant signs of toxicity. Why did I put the word significant in there? It wasn't even there.
It felt right.
It did. I'm an editor. Okay. Unexplained changes in weight gain and signs of toxicity. And it said the Impossible Burger is a plant-based burger. The key ingredient, which is a protein called soy
Lehemoglobin.
SLH, derived from genetically modified yeast. A rat feeding study commissioned by the manufacturer Impossible Foods found that rats fed SLH developed unexplained changes in weight gain as well as changes in the blood that can indicate that the onset of inflammation or kidney disease as well as possible signs of anemia.
Holy shit.
Yeah, Impossible Foods dismissed these statistically significant effects as non-adverse or having no toxicological relevance.
It's so funny you can just dismiss things. They did a real study and they're like, not real.
Well, they're dismissing it because it's not convenient. I mean, It's
Right.
real simple. I mean, you do rat studies doesn't necessarily mean it transfers to people. But that stuff is okay. What's the ingredients? Let's find out what the fucking
that's what I wanna
ingredients
know.
of these
How they make
Impossible.
it.
Because that's not the only thing that I've read. I've read things by actual nutritionists. They're saying, look, you want to be on a plant-based diet, you should eat real foods. You can eat healthy on a plant-based diet. You can eat real vegetables and avocado and, there's plenty of good stuff to eat. Coconut oils, all this stuff is healthy for you. But when you start making shit look like meat, that's when shit gets squirrely because you're finding all kinds of, they're adding all sorts of processed food. Why'd you take that off the screen?
I don't want to be distracting while you're talking.
Oh, no, it's okay. So what the fuck is in there?
top 5 ingredients.
Calories, 4-ounce serving, which is pretty skimpy, clocks in at 240 calories. That's in the range of a beef burger, depending on fat content. Cholesterol, the Impossible contains no cholesterol. To compare, a regular beef patty contains about 80 milligrams. Scroll up, scroll up, scroll up, scroll up, scroll up. Fat, 14 grams, includes 8 grams of saturated fat, which is generally considered less healthy than unsaturated fat. That's not true. It's entirely dependent upon the source, and it's entirely dependent upon like how you're eating, like what you're eating.
Yeah.
Like it's the idea that saturated fat is bad for you. This has all been debunked. This is comparable to a beef burger, mostly due to the coconut oil, which is healthy for you fuckers. This year, the Impossible replaced a portion of the coconut oil, which is the highest in saturated fat, god damn it, with sunflower oil, which is way shittier for you, which is an unsaturated fat. God damn. This, talking to nutritionists on this podcast has been so enlightening, but so confusing when you see the way that people still want to eat low fat, and they don't understand, like, fats are important. Your body fucking needs them. They're good for your brain. They're good for everything. Omega-3s, omega-6s.
That was the revolution of, I remember as a kid, everything became, in like the late 80s and 90s, everything was lower fat, but it was higher sugar content, right? Mm-hmm. So it was just like, less fat, but they were just increasing the sugar. It was like 1% milk. That's the biggest joke when they're like,
they put sugar in it.
Less fat. Yeah, but they substituted it with tons of fucking sugar.
Because it tastes terrible.
Yeah, it tastes like shit without the fat.
All those monsters that put low-fat milk in their coffee, who the fuck are you?
Piece of shit.
Who are you? They're tricked. Burn. They got tricked. They got tricked by this idea that you're supposed to have low fat. Find out, pull up something, what is the Impossible Burger healthy? Is it healthy?
Well, here's the thing. They were pushed. That article obviously was siding with the Impossible Burger because they cited 4 items, and it was like soy protein, coconut, and something else. They don't really tell you how the process is that they make those. That's the thing. They won't say, well, here's how we derive these things and fucking process them.
I was going to say, before I even looked this up, I don't think that they're even marketing as being healthier. It's just an alternative for meat for people that really still want to eat it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's it.
But is it healthy for you?
I don't think that this.
I don't think they're even bothering. Yeah, it's probably less healthy for you than a fucking McDonald's cheeseburger, which is barely meat anyway.
In a way, I think that one of the cultural jobs this podcast has performed, and this is like whether deliberately or not, is it demonstrates that the old political lines that we used to comfortably abide within are starting to sort of break down. Because, like something like an obvious signifier of a particular type of person, i.e. I go hunting, now we have to accept is coupled with your view that the agricultural industry needs to be regulated and it's disgusting. Now, there we have complete and total agreement, and we both can see that the way that legislation is set up is biased towards corporate interests, commercial interests, and profit. And so for me, bloody whether Chris Pratt having his own sheep, I think no problem, man. That's not. I don't need to spend my time worrying about that. I'm a little bit like Alex Jones, like with the why are we worrying about flat Earth if they've got them babies and all of that stuff. It's like I feel like, why don't we focus on the things that are making a genuine difference to the way people are living lives? And it seems to me that one of the priorities is in a new global landscape that we're living with. What are the dominant forces and what are the goals of the dominant forces? And how detached are those goals from the lives of what you might say are ordinary people, or the majority of people, to use a less complex term. And
what's probably most horrific about reforming the system is that the people that are going to suffer the most are the people that are the poorest. So, like, if you think of fast food in particular, right? There's a lot of really poor people that rely on fast food because it's very inexpensive. If you go and you can get a lot of calories for a small amount of money, right? But if you go from the fast food restaurant and then you go down the line to factory farming, and then somehow or another they eliminate factory farming, and they say, no, if you're going to raise animals, you have to have the same sort of standards that we would expect if we knew you, if we were there. We want pastures. We want animals living in the wild. We want, fenced in, but like living like an actual animal. Not this crazy warehouse bullshit you guys are running. Well, that's going to up our operation costs. Well, then that's how it's going to be. So then the beef becomes far more expensive. Now, if the beef becomes far more expensive, then what do the restaurants do? Well, they're going to have to make things more expensive too. So who's going to suffer? The poor people. Who's going to suffer with cheap meat in supermarkets? poor people that can't afford it.
No, but I think that what happens, Joe, is you have started to pull a thread that reveals how the fabric of our culture is corrupted, because it shouldn't be more expensive. The only reason it's more expensive is because everything is put into a capital-based ideology. I've heard many times on this show, you discussing universal basic income. This is like the beginning of looking at alternative economic models. And there's an argument for saying everyone has the right to a nutritious diet. Everyone has the right to a safe home. You know, so like, you know, if we start prioritizing those ideas above these organizations have the right to maximize profit, we go, well, hold on a sec, them maximizing profit, that's getting taken off the table. And then there comes your counter argument about innovation. Well, I would say if innovation slows, no problem, because we've decided as a culture to prioritize housing and nutrition for the majority of people. Now, you can say that starts to, you know, that's kind of socialism, and I don't think that can work on a continental scale. I think we have to break down centralized systems, whether those are corporate centralized systems or national. I feel that the time has gone where there's too much diversity. Like there probably always was diversity. People are different. We're influenced by our cultures, our schools, our education, our class, our race. There's all these factors. And then to expect us all to live in this sort of single bandwidth of this is what America is, or this is what France is, or this is what England is. It's too different now. But it seems like the standards we're adhering to, unconsciously or otherwise, is these groups have the right to make as much money as they can, and to interfere with that is un-American or un-British or whatever it was, because, you know, this is beyond national ideas, I'm sure. So, you know, for me, you pull that thread. Oh, it's the poor that will suffer. Well, then no, we have to rule out the poor suffer. So what happens in the end? You start to get into redistribution of resources, managing and regulating the power of the most powerful people. And whenever that conversation starts, it gets shut down because they want to conserve.
Even in a capitalist system, wouldn't it be more ethical if everybody started from the same starting block? Well, that's what's wrong with the world, right? What's wrong with the world is some people are in they have a terrible hand of cards they've been dealt, you know. And my point about food is that the people that are going to suffer the most are the people that rely on the cheap food.
Yes, your point is valid. As soon as that cheap
food gets pulled away, then a lot of those supermarkets and a lot of those fast food stores that rely on that factory farm food, you know, they're going to be in a bad situation. Things are going to be much more expensive. And if things are much more, if they make animals live like, what is that guy's name? Polyface Farms, Joel Salatin. Yeah. He's a fascinating cat. I had him on my podcast before. He's sort of a farm reformist. And what he believes is that these animals should live just like animals. When he has pigs, he puts them in a fenced area, but he moves the fenced area every day. So like the pigs move to a different spot. And so they're just constantly foraging and eating acorns. And but they're living like a pig. They're living in a natural. They're not living in some crazy warehouse.
Yes.
He does same with his chickens. He has this mobile chicken coop, and he moves it from pasture to pasture. And this is how he operates his entire farm.
Yes, it seems again that a point we've talked about earlier, that we ought to, like, if we're looking, like, no one knows what's right, so perhaps what we could try and do is replicate what we do naturally. And so there is an argument that naturally we do hunt. There is an argument that naturally we do eat meat. We naturally grow food too, though. Right.
There's an argument that, like I was saying, like getting into organic gardening. If you have your own garden, man, I mean, that is like one of the most karma-free things ever. If you could figure out a way to have your own compost, your own garden, and you don't ever have to rely on anybody else for your food, well, then you're not participating in that shit at all.
Do you think that the spirit of entrepreneurship could be turned to designing these systems? Do you think the only thing that incentivizes people is maximum profit? I do too. I think that it is possible that people would sit around and go, how do we organize a society that's fairer and just, that doesn't kill people's individualism or creativity or right to pursue different goals or to be who they are and believe who, you know. But like, I feel like there's so much fog in the air. People don't know what they actually believe in because there's so much powerful cultural influence, so much toxin, physical toxin, literal toxins and toxicity, cultural toxicity. You know, how am I to protect my children from cultural influences that are telling them you have to look this way, be this way, behave that way. These are the things that are cool. If you're not this, you're not a man. If you're not this, you're not a woman. As a parent, I feel the obligation to create an environment where they can grow up to be who they are, in inverted commas. And then when you sort of scale that up to a society, how can we start to recognize, look, is this time to look at different systems for living? And what I feel is people want to be involved in the power systems that affect them. Like if you have a group of 100 people, they want to be able to run their own schools, run their own care systems, be in charge of their own lives, not just be some little beam of energy flicked about by cultural forces that they can't reach or touch. It's alienating. And like one of the things in Marxism, and that and I know very little about this subject, is he says that when capitalism reaches a certain point, people will be lost, alienated. They'll feel like a cog in a machine. No one will have no pride in their work. No one will know what it's like to make a whole bicycle and think, look, I made that. You're the guy that makes the pedals. Now fuck off home. Like I listened to enough Jordan Peterson to understand that there are limitations to what socialism and Marxism can achieve. But just because capitalism is better than feudalism, that doesn't mean that's the end of the conversation, that we shouldn't be looking for fairer, better, more just ways of living.
Whoa.
But again, thinking about that, about in relation to addiction, I think often when you talk about something like work addiction, right, which is obviously caused by partly childhood trauma that I'd experienced, there's been a real change in how we think about that as well. It relates back to what we were saying right at the start about chemical hooks, right? So if you look at the debate about non-drug-based addictions, right? You think about 20 years ago, people start talking about sex addiction. A guy called Stanton Peele, who I interviewed a lot, first writes about love addiction, all sorts of... Exactly, gambling addiction. At the time, initially what people say is, well, this is bullshit, because they believe the chemical hooks theory of addiction, right?
Right.
So it just seems like, well, that's not... I mean, there's an episode of Cheers, actually, which... now would be, you wouldn't do this, but there's an episode where the whole hilarious premise of the show is that, what's the Ted Danson character? Sam Malone. Ted Danson's character thinks he's a sex addict. And this is like a punchline all the way through the show, right? This was the attitude that ends when he goes through a meeting of Sex Ed and Love Addicts Anonymous. And like, there's some woman talking about how she gets has sex with every man, and it ends with him just putting his arm around her, and that's the end of the show, right? That wouldn't happen in a sitcom. Now people thought, well, it might, but people don't think the very idea of sex addiction is ridiculous in the way they did, right? I don't think. I think maybe they do. But then I think that's because there hasn't been a shift in gambling. If you go to a meeting of Gamblers Anonymous, as I have with a friend, I don't have a gambling problem, but just to support someone, they are as addicted as anyone in the next room down at Narcotics Anonymous.
I've known a lot of gambling addicts.
And did you feel that they were as addicted?
Oh yeah, they're straight up junkies. And they might as well be chasing crack.
Exactly, and that tells us something really important, because you don't snort a roulette wheel, right? You don't inject online poker, right? If you can have, Professor Nutt said this to me, if you can have all of the addiction but none of the chemical hooks, that tells us about how we've overestimated the role of chemical hooks in addiction.
There is a chemical hook. There's a dopamine addiction.
Well, absolutely everything you do that you like gives you dopamine, a dopamine hit. So I think there's been this attempt to integrate it by going, oh, well, there's this pleasure in the brain. But
it's also a self-destructive issue. There's something about gambling. There's a lot of self-hate involved, and this overwhelming feeling of failure that a lot of gambling addicts have because they fail so often, and they're always trying to chase the dragon. They're always trying to make up for all the past things they've gone wrong. With this big score, we're going to settle it out.
There's someone who talked to me about, I just think about what you're saying in relation to him, a guy called Peter Cohen, who's a professor in the Netherlands, who actually didn't say this to me directly, I read it. He says we shouldn't call it addiction, we should call it bonding. That human beings have an innate need to bond and connect, right? And when you're happy and healthy, you'll bond and connect with like the people around you with meaningful work. Mm-hmm. But if you can't do that because you're isolated or traumatized or beaten down by life, or you haven't been taught how to do that, you will bond with something that gives you some sense of relief, right? Now, for some people that might be porn, for some people that might be gambling, for some people it might be cocaine, alcohol, whatever. But he says if you only have one bond that's giving you any relief, you will obsessively return to that bond, right? And I don't think that's a total, and as he would say, that's not a total explanation for what's going on. But I do think that is a useful way to think about some of these behavioural addictions, right? So someone I know very well, a relative of mine has a gambling addiction, and this is someone who has no alternative form of joy or pleasure in their life, right? And gambling gives a moment, well, lots of moments. Especially if you look at someone who's playing online poker, as I've done with my relative, they're not happy. Right? It's not like looking at someone watching a nice movie, right? You can see, I don't mean, sorry, I should be, someone with an addiction problem playing online poker. Some people have, most people don't have a problem.
Right.
It's the relief of just being absent from your life for a moment, or for however long you play, rather than. I went to this, for Lost Connections, my book about depression, I went to the first ever internet rehab center in the United States. It's a weird place. It's an impressive place, actually. I like the people there. It's in Spokane, just outside Spokane in Washington. It's called Restart Washington. And I remember going there. It was really interesting to think about this. I remember arriving. It's a clearing in the woods, right? A big wooden place in the clearing in the woods. And I remember absolutely instinctively looking at my phone and feeling really, when the minute I got out of the car, I'm feeling really pissed off that I couldn't check my email. I was like, oh, wait, you're in the right place, right? And it's really interesting because they get all kinds of people in Restart Washington, but they disproportionately get young men who are obsessed with multiplayer role-player games. Like then it would have been World of Warcraft, now it would be Fortnite. And speaking to these young men, I remember having this realization talking to the woman who runs it, is an amazing woman called Dr. Hilary Cash, who said to me, you've got to ask, I think it relates to what you're saying about gambling, you've got to ask what these young men are getting out of this game, because they're getting something out of it, right? And she argues that one of the things they're getting is the things they used to get from the culture, but no longer get.
Like
right?
what?
Well, a feeling they're good at something, a feeling that other people see them, that they're part of a tribe, a feeling that they're moving around. Kids spend very little time outdoors now, right?
I think there's also anticipation. There's puzzles. There's things where you're trying to figure out whether or not something's right or wrong and how to get it. And then if you do get it, you get this positive surge. If you don't get it, I think there's human reward systems that are being mirrored there in gambling as well.
Absolutely. And what psychologists call that a feeling of mastery. Feeling of mastery is when you feel you are good at something.
Right.
That is an absolutely underlying psychological need. Everyone needs to feel they're good at something. If you don't have a sense of mastery in your life, you will be depressed and anxious, right? Or you're much more likely to become depressed and anxious. And I think, again, because it's very striking to me, I've got teenage nephews, I've got godsons, we actually don't ask anything of young men, right? Very rarely are they actually asked to do very much. They're not given responsibilities, right? I think, and look, again, I want to stress that most people playing video games are not addicted. It's a perfectly good form of pleasure for most people.
They're very addictive.
I mean, they're not. Most people playing them have a healthy relationship with them in the same way that
I don't know if that's true.
Okay, maybe tell me about it.
I think a lot of people playing them have a real problem with them. They take up massive hours of their time. It's a giant problem with young boys. I mean, the thing is, it's become an actual avenue for a career now. There's esports careers where these young guys are making millions of dollars playing video games. It's not like the old days where you would say, hey, you're wasting your life. Now it's basically almost like practicing golf. But we have a setup back here where we play video games against each other. It's very addictive. Don't you think it's addictive?
Sure. Yeah. So it's like basketball when I was younger, too. I loved playing basketball. Couldn't get me to I'd play in the rain.
Right. The basketball has movement and exercise attached to it, so you get some positive benefit from that addiction. I was definitely addicted to jiu-jitsu. I would even train when I was injured, but what does that mean? It means I enjoyed it more than I enjoyed not doing it. The difference between a lot of video game addictions and particularly gambling addictions is that they tend to wreck people's lives.
When you had this period of jiu-jitsu addiction, did you, because I think it's an interesting distinction there, were you doing it to avoid some kind of pain in your life? Or were you doing it because you just really deeply loved it?
It's really fun.
Right.
So you're chasing the thrill. I mean,
I'm
I'm
not sure
certain I was avoiding pain with almost everything I've done in my life in some way, shape, or form. There's some of it where you're trying to do something positive to mitigate the pain or the frustration or the anger or whatever it is that's bothering you. But I don't, the video game thing was a real addiction, though. It was like a compulsion. And
How long did it last?
Doing it, years. Yeah.
How did you get out of it, Joe?
I quit. I just quit cold turkey. Stopped playing. I realized it was kind of messing up my life and my career. It was just taking up way too much time. And I came to a realization. I was like, I got to stop doing this. I'm just playing way too much. And so I just said, the only way, I'm just too competitive. I enjoyed it too much. And so the only way to do it was to stop playing it altogether. And we started playing it again recently after more than 15 years of ever playing it at all. And it's still addictive, but I'm so busy now I can't really fall into the grip of it. I'm actually just enjoying it for an hour here or there.
But that's so interesting in itself, isn't it? That's a bit like the rat part principle. It feels to me, correct me if I'm wrong, that like the more you have in your life that is meaningful, that is good and gives you pleasure or a sense of mastery, the less space there will be for these objects of obsession to come in, right? And I think that is a principle that's true. This was the principle behind the Portuguese drug decriminalization, right? If we give people good lives, they will not want to anesthetize themselves so much. It was the Swiss principle. And I think we all see that in our lives to different degrees. The happier I am, the less I want to turn to the behaviors that I developed as a child to avoid being present with like violence and aggression. Like, I don't think of like writing as an addiction. It might be a compulsion. If I have a day when I don't do it, I feel terrible. But something that is positive and rewarding, I don't think is an addiction, right?
Sure.
Something that enriches your life and is it's a way of living life in the most fulfilling way for you.
An obsession, maybe a positive obsession.
A compulsion, obsession, a way of being in the world, right? Like, it's like sometimes I get people saying to me, like, oh, am I addicted to sex or whatever? And you want to say, and I often say, well, does it give you pleasure? Is it a way of avoiding pain? If it gives you pleasure and it's not a way of avoiding pain, it's not an addiction. It's just a happy way of being in the world, right? And that's the reality and again, I think this really helps us because partly what I'm arguing in Lost Connections and Chasing the Scream is we need to deeply reconceptualize how we think about these forms of pain like depression and addiction. And this isn't some wacky view. This is the view of the World Health Organization, these leading medical bodies when it comes to depression. Sorry.
I mean, that's really what it is. It's an ideological battle, and in that sense, veganism becomes very much like a religion because you support all the people that are on your side, and the people that are opposed to you are like apostates. They're like the negative people that are trying to bring you to the dark side, to hell. It gets really crazy. And there's a lot of evidence on their side in terms of like factory farming and the horrors of factory farming, and even the really incredibly poor modern American diet that they see. A lot of people, when they go vegan, what they're doing, one of the best things that they're doing is they're eliminating all the bullshit. They're eliminating all the trans fats and all the terrible shit that a lot of people eat that isn't vegan.
Yeah.
But the negative thing is most of them are eating diets that are far too carbohydrate rich, and if they're not getting their blood checked, they don't even know how unhealthy they are. They convince themselves they're doing much better and they're feeling much better. But a lack of cholesterol can fuck with your hormone functions. A lot of vegans have low hormones because of that.
We one of our regulars at Antler was talking to me about his experience. He used to have a organic vegetable farm, and he's a 6'7", big, huge, tall Dutch white guy. And he goes to me, he says, I was vegan for a long time. I had this organic vegetable farm, and I thought that I was doing my body a service. I thought I was doing something great for my body. And he got really sick, and he went to the doctor, and the doctor said, listen, man, you have to take supplements to supplement the things you're not getting from eating meat, or you have to go back to eating meat, because just some people's bodies do better than others. He said a lot of Asian cultures are more susceptible to vegetable diets, but he's like, in reality, he's like, you're a Northern European, descent, and you need to eat, this stuff to be healthy. And that's when he went back to eating meat. And it doesn't matter, what you're trying. Like he was living on an organic vegetable farm. Like what more healthy, vegetables could he be eating? So
yeah, B12 is a big one, and B12 essentially only comes from things other than vegetables. You can get some of it from algae. You can get I mean, you definitely can get it from meat. It's rich in meat. And the other thing is iron. Iron, people say, well, there's iron in vegetables. There is, but it's not very bioavailable.
Right.
And a lot of the various vitamins and even protein in vegetables not very bioavailable in most sources.
And it's how your body absorbs those nutrients as well. Like it might be rich in that substance, but your body can't really absorb it.
Well, it's just everybody's body's different. I mean, that is an absolute fact that there are some people that can eat certain diets and be very healthy, and then other people eat them and they have a really hard time with them.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that most of these people that are talking about how healthy and how great they feel, there's a lot of it is sort of a placebo effect, and they're not getting blood work done. Everyone, regardless of what your diet is, you should get blood work done just to find out if you have any potential problems that are on the horizon. Because there's a lot of times you'll feel okay, and then you get your blood work done, and the doctor will tell you, hey, man, you're really low in vitamin B and D and A, and, you need this and that. And, this is the health consequences of not having this stuff in your diet. And if you are committed to a vegan diet, there's ways that you can supplement. And this is my advice to people. If you want to supplement, first of all, algae is a great one. It tastes like shit, but it's very good for your body. And you just add it to smoothies, just add it with coconut milk or a bunch of other things. You can do it. I mean, you definitely can eat a vegan diet and be healthy, but you got to be on the ball.
Yeah.
And the B12 one is a big one. It's a massive amounts. I was reading some crazy article the other day. It said something like 90% of all vegans are B12 deficient.
I've heard this. I'm not an expert, but I've been reading
terrible.
about it. Yeah.
It's terrible. There's a guy named Chris Kresser that I've had on my podcast before, who's a brilliant guy who is he's an expert in diet nutrition who started out as a macrobiotic vegan and had massive health problems, and then switched to eating meat eventually, and then really became a connoisseur of organ meat, which is like probably the most nutrient dense food in the world.
I love that's my favorite thing about hunting is the organ meat.
Me too, man. I love liver
And the heart. I went hunting and I came back and I brought the heart into the restaurant for the guys because I wanted to share with them like the experience of eating like fresh killed. Like the heart was still warm when I brought it to work. And I the way I like to eat is either tartare, like just mince it up raw, or cook it like a steak. So I cut it horizontally into like, it looks like a tenderloin steak. And we all got like this like buzz, like we just like shot a double espresso or something. It was just like, whoa. And it's like, it's so nutrient rich, the organ meat.
So tell me about this carnivore diet.
Sure.
Because I had Sean Baker in here and he talked to me about it, but he doesn't have any science. There's no he doesn't have any like real tests or any long-term studies or anything like that. And I'm a person who believes in balance, and I think that you need phytonutrients, you need plant fiber. I think there's a lot of healthy stuff that you get from plants. I'm a big believer in eating meat, though, but all meat. You guys are doing all meat.
Well, I think I've modified it. I think there's some holes in it.
One at a time, boys.
Yeah, I think there's some holes in every diet.
Right.
I think when you go and you make the decision to only eat meat, then some rational thought should come into your head. Maybe when I switch all the way to just meat all the time, maybe there's a possibility I'm going to eat too much meat. And so maybe that would make sense to bring in some fruit and bring in some vegetables just so you're not eating too much meat, for the simple reason vegetables have been shown, and there's, you can get a study to show you anything, but there's a study that's been done on 200,000 people that went on for 14 years, and they studied vegetables. They studied every type of vegetable, and they found that they were more neutral than they were harmful or good for you. They found that fruit was a little bit better for you. And again, you can have any study say anything.
Wait a minute. What is this study?
It's called the Pure Study.
Wait a minute. They said that vegetables are neutral? What does that mean?
They're neutral.
They don't really help you that much.
They weren't necessarily great, and they weren't necessarily bad. I don't
know
in
comparison to what, though?
I don't know what their standard was for what they were looking for exactly, but the main thing they were looking for was it being protective in terms of your heart. That was the main thing they were looking at. So they found out that saturated fat is protective of your heart. They found out that cholesterol is actually protective of your heart. They found out that salt is now it's all like, without, you can't take in tons and tons of salt because then something's going to...
Well, salt can kill you. If you eat a pound of salt, you're dead. Salt's one of those things that's really good for you. It's an essential mineral.
To a certain extent.
But if you take too much of it, you
So I
will
think
die.
any of these things can be done too far. I jumped on a carnivore diet just to give it a shot and to see exactly what it was about. And
Why did you do that? Because you talked to Sean Baker?
Yeah, he was on your podcast. I got inspired to do it. He was already doing it. So I was like, all right, let me try it out. I tried it out, got leaner, felt better, and I was like, this is pretty cool.
And why'd you start it?
So I was doing a ketogenic diet for over a year. Lost a lot of weight on that. Was doing great.
You look really good, man. You look very thin and healthy.
I appreciate it.
He looks healthy, doesn't he?
Your face looks healthy.
I still have a long way to go, in my opinion. This is a work in progress, but the reason I did it was really simple. It's a dietary intervention. I went through sobriety, as you know. I was a drug addict and an alcoholic for about 6 years. And when I went through sobriety, that's an intervention. Like there's something wrong. There's a problem. We need to fix it. So my problem now was arthritis, and I needed something that was like an intervention that would get me from being arthritic and in pain and not being able to lift to being able to lift. And so some of this might be a placebo effect of me going like, well, I'm on this diet and I feel great and whatever. And so I'm now lifting more. Some of it may be a placebo effect, and that's okay with me if it is, but I feel excellent on this diet, and I think the reason is I'm getting a lot more protein in. I wasn't getting enough protein on keto because I was listening to everybody say, well, it'll knock you out of ketosis if you eat too much protein, and that's what I constantly was being told, but I wasn't muscular. I wasn't being able to put on muscle.
Well, you were constantly testing your blood levels. Were you using a meter?
Yeah, every day about 3 or 4 times. Like I'm crazy with it because
what would knock you out of ketosis?
The things that would knock me out of ketosis were just like mainly anything with carbohydrates. I wasn't really having too much of a problem with protein because I wasn't eating a lot of protein. But there were things that if I cheated on my diet, for example, of course that would usually kick me out of ketosis. But then I also got to a point where you become so fat adapted that you become what we like to call metabolically flexible. Metabolic flexibility just means you can switch from being a fat burner. I'm mostly a fat burner for the most part because I'm eating high fat. But then if I do eat something with sugar in it, it doesn't really affect me that much because
your body's used to it.
90% going with the fat. So I can kind of move back and forth between those two things. But what I realized on the carnivore diet, when I switched over to carnivore, the whole time I was thinking, man, if I could just have an apple, I would feel so much better because just eating this steak, it's killing me and it's driving me crazy.
Well, how's it killing you?
Just mentally, I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't tough enough to just say, okay, I'll just have steak on a plate. Like for some reason,
you automatically use intermittent fasting almost because you're like you don't always have a hamburger in your pocket or you don't always run through In-N-Out Burger or whatever it might be. But yeah, you end up utilizing some intermittent fasting, and you're like, fuck, man, the only food I have to eat is a hamburger or steak.
That's where I was at, and it was hamburger or steak, and I'm like, well, how about an apple? So I talked to our friend Stan Efferding, who's a bodybuilder, and he's huge, he's jacked, and he's also a power lifter, and
51 years old too, and fucking jacked.
One of the smartest guys I know, and he sent me that study that I sent to you about the fruit. And I don't know if you watched that or not, but basically they did a large scale study with fruit, and they found out that the fruit actually would drive blood glucose down instead of bringing it up when taken with protein like red meat. And so I'm like looking at this going like, well, if it's not going to drive my glucose up, I mean, that'd be the one thing I'm concerned with. Why not have some fruit? And so then I'm talking with Stan about it. He was saying like, I think fruit is totally fine, and I think you can have as much as you want. And so I sort of switched over.
That sounds crazy though, because that's sugar. I mean, your body. How is your body not?
So your body
its blood glucose level.
They've done studies where they've studied fructose. So like everybody thinks fructose is really bad.
Well, they think that because of high fructose corn syrup.
And fructose is really bad when it's outside of fruit.
Right.
But for some reason, fruit has these phytonutrients. It has fiber in it, and those things sort of like protect you from what's going on in the sugar. They actually there's phytonutrients in fruit, like say an apple. There's certain phytonutrients in there that won't allow your small intestine to like absorb the fat, and so it actually helps you to digest things like red meat that have high fat.
There's cofactors in fruit that help you digest the sugars in them.
And
it's
I'm
not
not
like
too
it's
sure.
zeroed out.
I'm not a doctor. I'm a filmmaker, so I start. I'm basically ask a lot of questions to a lot of people and start figuring things out, and then it's trial and error. Right now, I'm in the trial and error part, and it seems like it's been working pretty good. So
now, are you getting your blood work done?
yes, just got my blood work done from last month, and everything improved from keto to carnivore. I didn't really have any cholesterol issues. I didn't have any. What were my issues?
We've had our blood work done probably 4 or 5 times in the last year or so, I would say.
Yeah.
And, not all the numbers are fucking great, but for the most part, it's been pretty healthy. The cholesterol's been good. The triglycerides have been good. This doesn't show up in your blood.
What's not good?
Just it's not in the high range of of what it shows you on the sheet. And then we also had other people.
For what?
In terms of like the triglycerides and the cholesterol and stuff like that. Is what you're talking about?
Well, like what you're saying? What's not good?
I'm just saying,
not in a
like,
high range.
I'm saying everything's been pretty good. Like this last time, I did have my, I had one of my markers kind of high.
We both had high C-reactive protein, and we're not sure why. So that's something that we have to look into.
And what is C-reactive protein?
It's a marker for inflammation, and my C-reactive
specifically of the heart.
Yeah,
not good.
My C-reactive
you both
protein.
had this.
Mine was really high on keto, but then after I went keto to carnivore, it came way, way down. So I don't know where it is right now.
Yeah, and I also had a really high. Mine registered really high out of nowhere. It was totally fine with all the blood work I've had done, and the last one I had done, it skyrocketed. People were saying, well, maybe it's because you worked out beforehand, or
right. You have to be. Were you consistent in when you ate, when you got your test done? Were you guys on a fast?
I trained beforehand, so I might have fucked it up.
Oh, you fucked it up for sure.
Yeah,
the way you train, you
that's
should
what I'm
never
saying.
test yourself after the way you train.
Yeah.
You train like a fucking animal.
The blood work, it's a snapshot in time, and we hear that a lot.
Right.
And I think that that's important to realize and recognize that it's just this one snapshot in time, and we constantly change all the time.
That's particularly important with dietary cholesterol.
Yeah.
I mean, with cholesterol in the blood, the way it registers, if you have a big, fat-filled meal and then go and get a blood test versus you fasting, it's like, how is your body absorbing this is what's really important. How's your body absorbing these essential nutrients, not like what happens right after you eat, because your body knows what to do with that stuff.
My cholesterol was 190, which is good. I mean, they want it to be under 200. But I thought what was really interesting was my HDL went way up from by like 60 points. It went up going from keto to carnivore.
Well, are you eating a lot of fatty cuts like ribeyes and stuff like that?
Mostly ribeyes. Yeah, I'd say mostly.
What I like a lot of dietary fat. I like a lot of like meat fat.
I think there's a certain point, right? Because I don't know. Before, when I was doing a ketogenic diet, the fat is kind of free flowing because you make your bulletproof coffees and you're just dumping fat and everything. You're putting butter on everything.
Right.
But when you
when
you have a steak, what's really nice about having a steak is you're right about 65 to 75% fat already. Like just
if you're eating corn
out of the box, yeah.
You're eating corn-fed beef? Is that what you're eating?
I eat both. I think that the difference between the grass-fed and the grain-fed, there really isn't a substantial amount of proof of how much better that is. I do know that grass-fed beef has 5 times the amount of omega-3.
Yeah.
So you always want to pick grass-fed beef when you can. But a lot of people can't afford it. And also, for me, the best meat is at Costco. That's the best tasting meat that you're going to find. I've been everywhere.
Why is Costco better?
It just tastes the best.
I think they shop around for the best stuff.
They have the best meat.
I think they do,
does.
yeah.
And it's corn.
So fuck some like expensive butcher shop.
It's corn
fed. Go to Costco?
I think Costco's outstanding.
Do you know Costco is all organic now too? Mm-hmm.
That's a weird word though.
Yeah.
That word is so loosely defined.
Sure.
What is organic? Well, we didn't spray it with a fucking chemical right before we gave it to you.
Right.
It's like,
there is a
what is exactly organic?
you have to pay to get organic status too.
Right.
That's a weird thing, You have to pay a lot of money, because I remember talking to Bulletproof, and the guy was telling me you have to Dave Asprey, he's telling me you have to pay money to get recognized as being organic. So
I would take whatever that guy says with a fat grain of salt.
Yeah, sure, I know.
Yeah.
But I'm saying you have to pay to get it to be.
I wonder if that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, it is true.
Is it that you have to pay? Well, I mean, I'm sure it costs money to get tested and to make sure that you're certified.
Yeah, it says something like that. You have to pay money for it.
I mean, there has to be some sort of a test.
gotta be a
and test costs
regulation,
money. I mean, but when you're looking at the standards, like, what does that mean? It means no antibiotics, no added hormones, right? Is that what it means?
I believe so,
And
yeah,
for food,
for-
it means no pesticides, right?
Yeah.
I mean, excuse me, for plant,
Fruits and vegetables, yeah.
for fruits and plants. The one thing that concerns me with grass-fed meat is that you're eating. Well, you're definitely getting a more expensive cut, but you're eating an animal that is eating what it's supposed to eat.
Yeah.
When you're eating, like, I've had Wagyu beef and Kobe beef.
Right.
It's delicious.
It's awesome, yeah.
But that thing's dead. That's a dying animal. That's like eating a giant fat guy about to have a heart attack. I mean, all that marbling, that's not supposed to happen. Like, you shoot a bison, like a free-range bison, you get a dark ruby red hunk of meat. I mean, and that's a
I'd
fucking
have to say
vibrant
that
animal.
I completely agree with you. But there isn't science to really support that eating the cow that was fed with soy or corn is necessarily way worse. And so I might just be stupid for waiting for that to come out.
It could
But
be worse.
hold on a second. You just said that there's way more omega fatty acids in grass-fed beef. Omega fatty acids are essential
Sure.
for brain development, muscle development. There's so many benefits to those essential fatty acids. And if those are more present in grass-fed meat, wouldn't you just assume that grass-fed meat is more nutritious?
Yeah, I would say that it has more omega 3.
Right.
It might be more nutritious in that particular way.
Right.
But I say, like, is the cost benefit? The other day I went and bought grass-fed meat from Whole Foods. $33.99 a pound for a fillet. $19.99 a pound at Costco for a fillet. The Costco one is so much better. The one from Whole Foods was almost not edible. Like, it didn't taste good.
It's a real tough piece of meat sometimes.
And so
Tough fillet?
at Whole Foods, I don't know why they have crappy meat.
For some reason, grass-fed stuff sometimes
And it's
a little
super
tougher.
expensive.
Did you get a sponsorship for Costco right before you came here today?
No.
We did
I
actually
am
nail it.
super suspicious.
No
We nailed it.
sponsorships. But what I'm saying is that I've gone to a lot of places to try to find what meat I thought tastes
Right.
the best, and so for me, sometimes I have to you have to eat a lot of meat. And if it doesn't taste that good, you're not going to get through it. So I prefer to have meat that tastes better. I like, for grass-fed meat, I like to use grass-fed beef patties because they're a little fattier and they just taste really, those taste
easier
fine
to
to
eat,
me.
yeah.
But the grass-fed steaks they don't really taste as good. So I just kind of switch back and forth.
I think these are some of the smaller issues. These aren't the main things that we're really trying to fight. My brother and I, we just took on to do another film, and he and I are doing this one together on nutrition. And we're trying to find out some truths. I mean, we're trying to find out about grass-fed and organic and all these different things. But mainly, we're just trying to figure out how the fuck do we help fight obesity? How do we help fight diabetes? How do we help people gain control of their diet? And I think that's really, truly what we're talking about is control. And you look at something like a ketogenic diet, in my opinion, it's one of the few diets that can really help people with control of their diet because it can help break up the cravings. And that's really ultimately, I think, where our fight is against cravings of all these convenient foods that taste so fucking good.
Well, the cravings
that are in our face
of
all the time.
refined carbohydrates and sugars.
Absolutely.
Those are giant.
Yeah.
I watched a documentary called "What the Health." Have you seen it?
It's filled with a lot of propaganda. And
Ah,
nonsense.
propaganda! Damn, those guys
It
again,
is.
like the Nazis. I remember
Well,
them.
they used a lot of discredited studies, and there's a lot of epidemiology studies that'll connect things. That aren't
Epidemiology. What does that mean? Like an epidemic?
Well,
What's that?
we could pull up what the actual.
It's about time
definition
Jamie
of
pulled something up in this
epidemiology,
episode.
but the way I would describe it is, they would do these studies, and essentially it would be they would ask you what you eat on a daily basis, how often do you eat meat, and it's basically a survey. And in that survey, they would say, well, there's a direct correlation between people that eat meat and diabetes. So let's pull up the definitions. of that.
I see.
But the problem is, what is causing here? A branch of medicine which deals with incidence, distribution, and possible control of diseases and other factors relating to health. So when they're dealing with incidents, right? They're dealing with how often do you eat red meat? How often do you eat this? How often do you eat that? And then they find oh, well, there's more instances of diabetes in people that eat meat. Okay, but is it people that eat meat and vegetables, or is it people that eat meat and vegetables and Diet Coke and sugary sodas and ice cream and French fries, and how are they eating their meat? Are they eating cheeseburgers from some bullshit fast food place, or are they eating grass-fed steak? Are they eating grass-fed steak and vegetables? And there's very little evidence that shows there's anything wrong with eating meat if you follow a normal, healthy, what they would call a primal diet.
Yeah.
Meaning, cut out all the grains, cut out all the sugar, cut out all the bullshit, eat vegetables and meat. And there's almost nothing. I mean, unless you have some very unusual, rare condition where you're either allergic to meat or you have some very strange digestive system where you have allergies to it, or you have real problems digesting it, or you have real problems with high cholesterol foods, which is very rare as well. Most of what you're getting is vegan propaganda, people that want other people to be convinced that the way that they're living is the correct way, and that eating meat is physically bad for you and is causing all these harms. What's causing all the harm for people physically is the modern American diet, and that's been pretty established.
Yes, that's right. And there are clear ethical reasons to be vegan in that it takes you out of the exploitation of animals. But that documentary, What the Health, that I watched was like, and I've been vegetarian for years, and and I've gone back and forth to veganism because I feel, God, Jesus Christ, man, there's enough things in my life I'm not doing without not being able to have an egg without feeling
but
guilty.
But you could have
for
pasture-raised eggs if you get them from a good farm. The chickens are just hanging out.
I've got chickens in my garden. I'm not confident in these animals and the way they go. Well, one by one, slowly, my dog's eliminating the gift of life.
I've had that a few times.
Terrible feeling.
I lost 9 of them to coyotes just last month. Maybe 2 months ago.
That's a pretty heavy.
It was a heavy toll. Yeah. Well, we had a fire out here, and the chicken coop burnt down. We got a smaller chicken coop, and the coyotes figured out how to get into it when we weren't home, and we came home to just feathers everywhere. It was disgusting.
Oh, that's brutal.
They're brutal little monsters. Those coyotes.
Yeah,
but,
they're ungovernable.
They're the reason why we don't have rats everywhere too.
All right. So hey, it's the circle of life. The Lion King was right. So the thing about that vegan documentary, mate, is that it tuned in to my pre-existing belief when it said stuff like, oh, the Diabetes Association, they are funded by these meat and dairy organisations and these pharmaceutical companies. The Cancer Organisation similarly accepts donations from these organisations. And it made me recognize, like, my pre-existing idea that I come to it with is, like that whole pyramid of these are the things you should eat. Bread, milk, it just were the things that it was easy and cheap to produce and that were profitable.
Well, they used to think that. They really did used to think that bread and grains were the most important thing.
Do you think they felt that?
I think they did. I think they thought it was filling and it provided energy, and I don't think they understood. Well, there was no talk of gluten intolerance when we were young. It didn't exist. And there was no understanding of excess carbs, and how excess carbs leads to excess body weight, and it makes you store fat. And people didn't think about it that way. They didn't understand. There was... The thing about nutrition is that nutrition science is it's a body of knowledge that's constantly added to.
Yeah, and in fact, perhaps most things are. Who knows what misapprehensions and ignorance we toil under that will be revealed to us.
I don't have the discipline to sit in class and listen. I was too spastic. I wasn't interested in what they were
crazy
teaching.
that you can't sit in class and listen, and yet you can do the double-header 3-hour podcast.
That's not hard. We're talking about cool shit. You're a cool guy. You're fun to talk to. It's not hard.
It's the way the material is delivered, huh?
And the last one was, what you'll see, but it's way more these two guys talking than me.
Oh.
I mostly moderated and mostly wound up agreeing with the guy who made the Game Changers documentary. Mostly with what he was saying in terms of science. In terms of whether or not it's healthy to eat 100% vegan diet. According to everything he's showing me, it is.
It is?
Yeah, according to everything he was showing me, and he had as much science as you could.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of doing it properly.
Mm-hmm. After listening to Kevin Smith on your show, I've considered trying to do like a vegan month or a vegan week or something. I haven't gone through with it yet, but I'm probably gonna.
I think it's different for different people too. I really do. I think some people have real issues with it. Some people have gotten off the vegan diet and they've quit, and they were
feel like I should eat a little less meat. Really?
Well, I mean, I think it's different for everybody too, man. I think some people could do it with no problems, and I think other people struggle more. And I don't know why. I'm not a nutritionist, but I know that a lot of people that wind up trying it out eventually give up. It's like 84%.
I know a
of people
couple
start.
ex-vegans. Yeah. But I don't have like a moral judgment for it or anything. I just feel like maybe it's something worth trying because I eat a lot of meat.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get, I wrote a business plan for my new place, as you do when you have a new business. And the first thing on the business plan is by my 40th birthday, I want to be the healthiest I've ever been.
Well, I don't think cutting meat out is the move. See, this is what I think about all this. Like, I think you can definitely be healthy and be a vegan. According to everything this guy was showing me, everything James Wilkes was showing me.
I don't really want to be a vegan, but I like meat. I have
but-
no moral qualms with it, and I like how it tastes. I don't want to be a vegan, but I thought maybe if I did it a little bit, I could at least try.
Health-wise,
It makes a difference?
No, I think the real thing to do is omnivorous diets. And I think this is one of the things that we proved today in this conversation between Chris Kresser and James Wilkes, is that the omnivorous diet is like a natural healthy thing. You can do a vegan diet, though. You can do it right. According to everything he was showing me today, and I believe this too, if you're just doing it correctly, if you monitor your nutrient levels, you take, vitamin B12 supplement, which is something he advocates. I was like, that makes sense to me. But I don't believe that meat's bad for you. I think that sedentary lifestyle, shitty foods, people have been eating meat since the beginning of time. This is how we became people. And literally one of the primary theories for why the human brain got so big so quick, so they started hunting. We had more access to protein because we were cooking things with fire, and we learned how to hunt better because our brains kept growing as we're just figuring out the throwing arm. They think is a possible factor, like somehow or another, the ability to throw something at something and kill it, like made us much more productive as hunters.
We can kill from farther away. That's key.
Because we're so weak.
Oh, compared to animals?
Anything, yes.
Like, an animal would fuck us up. So any even a small-ish animal would fuck us up so bad.
A deer will kick your fucking ass, man. A deer just kicking at you. Oh my god.
Yeah, I get it. We need some help. We need some weapons.
I wonder what we were like, though. I mean, imagine going back and seeing what a person was like when we started becoming people. How fucking freaky would that be? Like, I
feel like we'd be like scared of everything.
Oh my god,
just real scared.
But like, what would it be like to just hang out in a tribe of Neanderthals and see what they were like a different kind of person?
Yeah, I wonder if it would be, like mentally freeing. You know what I mean? You're singularly focused on food and shelter and not, I don't know if you have you don't have a lot of like the fucking worries that we have, but so it could be awful simple. But at the same time, the constant fear of starving and freezing to death, that would be shit.
All of it's bad. Everything's bad.
Don't worry, we're going to get there, dude. We're going to end up in Waterworld pretty fucking soon.
Dude, don't say it. So now that you're not keto, what are you doing with your diet? You trying to be healthy?
No, not really.
No,
but it definitely has made me understand sugar more.
Are you still smoking cigarettes?
Yeah, I'm vaping a lot more, but yeah.
How much cigarettes do you smoke a day?
Half pack.
Still a lot.
Yeah. But I don't smoke in my car, so my cigarette has gone down
because of that.
Because of that, like 75%.
That's good.
Yeah.
What would you think if we decided to do that as a project? Hire you a trainer and hire you a nutritionist. Would you be down with that?
Sure.
Like film it as a project?
Yeah.
What would you like? What do you weigh now? You don't have to tell everybody, but what would you like to get down to?
Well, see, that's the problem. When I got down, like 15 years ago or 13 years ago, whatever. I think that was like 65 pounds or something, and I just thought I looked like I had AIDS or something.
Well, you're just used to yourself looking big.
Yeah, but I think some people they have a body shape or look that looks way better with a little chub on them than they do if they look. I don't know. I feel like I look like.
You know what Joey Diaz said when he lost a lot of weight? Remember when he lost a lot of weight? My fucking head looked too big.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what that is? It's like you got to build up your body. Because something happens to people when they gain weight, your head gets bigger. It's like when people get really heavy, their head gets bigger. And I don't know if like a biologist can back us up on this, some sort of science, but it seems like really overweight people, their head gets really big too. Like it grows with them, which kind of makes sense because there's like your bones definitely get bigger and thicker when you lift a lot of weights, right? Now when you're 450 pounds, you're carrying weight everywhere you go. So everything's got to be thick. Like I always said, if Ralphie May wound up losing all that weight, he'd be able to kick a hole through a fucking wall. Because that guy's carrying around 500 pounds everywhere he goes. Yeah. His leg muscles had to be gigantic. Like underneath all that, his legs must have been fucking huge. So if you could just put some muscle on while you're losing the fat, see, that's the difference. Like when you were on that, you look great then, dude. Look at you, sexy bitch.
Now look
How
at the
did you think you look bad?
No,
well,
stop. That's an okay picture.
Stop it. You're a handsome, beautiful man.
I was thinking more of the
how
one.
How good does he look, Jamie? How good does he look? You look fucking great there.
I was thinking more of the time when the photo of me and you with that weed guy that died at the 420 Awards, where I just looked like an 8. That's when I was at my lowest.
The weed guy that died.
The one that has all the shit. I can't even think of his name. He has weed named after him. He's very famous.
Jack Herrera. Yeah, he had a stroke.
Yeah, we were hanging out with him, me and you, and that's when I was at my skinniest. I think I was like 160, 155 or something like that. I don't even remember. But I just looked like a.
Didn't you feel
dog.
so light though when you move around?
Yeah,
like you could just get places quicker.
Yeah.
Like, lighter.
Definitely had more energy. That's for sure.
Dude, you can do this. What would you think about doing this as a project? Like, we'll announce it on the podcast. We'll start it off. Would you be into doing something like that?
Yeah, I mean, eventually. Not like this month because I have to go to Australia and all this shit.
Start it now.
Well, I have to go to Australia. I'm going to be out of the country.
When are you going back? What are you doing? Kill Tony out there?
Yeah, doing Kill Tony, and then So this month is all I'm on the road. Almost.
Okay.
I was talking with my buddies, and I've been having a really good time with my son making stuff. And he said, man, I know this may sound crazy, but this corona shit, he said, you and your son gonna look back one day and you're gonna be like, hey, Dad, remember when we made that slingshot doing it when the corona was out?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, the memories are gonna be there all type of ways.
Yeah, you're building memories that you wouldn't have ordinarily built.
Yep.
As long as you're alive and as long as you're healthy. I think the positive side of this, you could always look at the negative side, but the positive side is look how many people are complying. Look how many people are doing the right thing.
Right.
Lot of people. A lot of people. And they're doing the right thing because they care about their loved ones.
But then people
hopefully they care about your loved ones.
And people aren't complaining as much. People not there like, fuck it, that's what it is.
I mean, some people are hurting financially. A lot of people losing their businesses. They're hurting. But the amount of strife, the amount that you see in the streets as far as like riots and protests, it's non-existent. People are understanding we're all fucked. This is like, we didn't see it coming. We all got a deal. I just hope this makes people realize that all that pull them up by their bootstrap stuff, like people love to think that that's how people should be. You know, you should just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, go out there and fucking make something for yourself. That's all true. You definitely should go out there and try to accomplish some goals. But there's going to be times in our lives as a community where some shit goes down and it's not anybody's fault, but they need help. And that's when we have to evaluate what our taxes go to. Because if our taxes don't go to some form of excellent, very accessible healthcare and making that more widespread, then you're basically saying you don't really care about people's health and their survival as much as you care about money. Now, if we're going to commit to that kind of a culture after something like this, well, we're insane. We're not learning anything. We should learn something from this. And what we can learn from this is, like, health-wise, we were not prepared. Whether it's through hospital beds, ICUs, ventilators, social distancing protocols, whatever the fuck it was, we weren't prepared for something like this. But now that we are, we should all go, hey, yeah, you know what, man? No one should not have the money to pay for treatment for this.
So what do we do? What do we do, Joe? What do we do? What do we do?
Change the way we look at our services.
It sounds like you said we got to change thinking, period.
Change thinking, but also change what our money should go to. Our money's got to go to that. It's got to go to that. Like, that's very important for everybody. When people get sick, it spreads to all of us now. we don't want ever to know anyone that you love that's going to die because they can't get health care that's available for people that have money. That we got to stop that. Just like we stopped with the fire department. The fire department goes to people's houses when the fire's on fire because they're worried. Hold on a second. Fire department goes to a house when it's on fire because not just to that house, they don't want it to spread through the whole city. They go. Well, that's the same thing with healthcare. If someone's really sick, if they don't help you and you got coronavirus, you spread it to everybody else, right? You don't get the health care, and you're contagious. It's almost like a fire in a lot of ways, like a viral fire.
But aren't we living in a system where everybody is qualified to have health care?
We should be.
So what is covered California? What the fuck is that all about then?
I don't know, man. I mean, if you think about how much money gets spent on things, right? Whether it's computers, whether it's cars, whether it's houses, whether it's the things that people buy, how much of a percentage of that, if you could escalate it just a little bit and all of that money goes into just healthcare, not just taxes where no one's accountable, you don't know where the fuck it's going to go. What if everybody's dollar cost $1.05? Just an added 5 cents for most things you buy up to a certain point, and all that money goes straight to healthcare. Wouldn't you be willing to pay, instead of $1.05 for something, if you knew that 5 cents was going to go towards healthcare? That's
what? As a business person, that 5 cent may mean a lot to me as a business person.
You're right. It might.
That's what I'm saying. That's it. That might be for. I can't know. I look at that $1.05. That's only 5 cents. Now, if you talk about that being billions and millions, then
that's why I said up to a certain point, up to a certain amount of money.
Right.
I mean, after a while.
I agree with you.
Yeah. It seems like it would be better for everybody. And it would be better for us to not worry about what happens if you get sick because you don't know if you're going to be able to pay for it. Sometimes people get hit with crazy medical bills after, an unexpected injury or an unexpected disease, time in the hospital. They got a huge bill that they can't fucking pay. It's real common that people go bankrupt because of that kind of shit. That you guys have
lower tuition.
Yeah, way lower. That healthcare and student.
We pay for it with taxes, right?
Yeah, but it's worth it. I mean, I've said time and time. Look, I believe in a hybrid form of governing, in a hybrid form of culture. And I think that I support a lot of socialized ideas.
Sure.
And one of the reasons why is because I see socialism work with the fire department, with the police department, with things that we all agree that we're going to chip in and pay for. And the fact that we don't do this with healthcare, that, if my neighbor gets sick, the community has to chip in. God damn it, that guy's been paying taxes his whole life. He's a viable part of the community. We should be taking care of our own. This should be a primary thing, like this, to strengthen our community, to strengthen our civilization. One of the primary things is we should be taking care of each other physically. Right. That should be, like, above all, right? Education. You shouldn't have to fucking be in debt $250,000 if you get a fucking education. Don't we want less losers? Don't we want more people to have education? Don't we want more people to have some sort of pathway to success? Wouldn't that just logically lead to a stronger economy, a stronger community, a stronger civilization? Wouldn't it? Wasn't that logical?
Let me give a devil's advocate answer. To the extent that there are now no longer any barriers to entry to get into university, certainly in Canada, at least not a financial one, you get, I think, a misallocation of talent and resources where everybody feels compelled to go to university, where in reality, many of the folks in question, and believe me, I'm the last guy to argue against education, right? I'm all about lifelong learning, but it doesn't have to be through the formal channels of getting a degree.
Right, but it's not compulsory.
Well, it is compulsory unofficially in that it is now no longer acceptable to not have at least some entry-level degree.
Well, then we should concentrate on that as an issue.
Right. Okay.
That should be the issue, not this idea that somehow or another education should be expensive, so it should be difficult, so it should be something that's only sought out by people who really deserve it.
Fair enough. So I agree. The barrier to entry shouldn't be that it's the finances that don't allow you to pursue your interests.
Yeah.
But I know, just as a professor for 25 years now, there are students that I see very early in a given semester that I know they're not there for or they're not there for intrinsic reasons. Right? Yeah. They just don't have the sparkle in their eyes, and no amount of coaxing on my part is ever going to bring them out. I try. I think everybody's redeemable, but you can tell that they're there because they don't have it. Maybe those people would have had a much more lucrative trajectory where they pursue trade school. So I think we have to also be careful about how to allocate the talent that we have.
I know that absolutely makes sense, and I think that is most likely played out over the difficulty of pursuing an education.
Right.
Just like it is with everything else.
Right.
Everything else, like whatever you try, if you want to be a stand-up comedian, it's not everybody gets to do Carnegie Hall. Like there's a weeding out process of the difficulty of achieving success. And there's a lot of people that fall by the wayside and don't make it. And this is just natural. It's a natural part of the process. But if you say, not everybody's a comedian, that's true. But open mic night's available to everybody.
True.
And that's why there's so many comedians that actually are good, because they do find it through, because there's no financial barrier to entry. If it cost, $35,000 a year to pursue an education in comedy, and you had to be $200,000 in debt before you could make a living on the road,
Right.
there wouldn't be a goddamn thing to laugh at. There wouldn't. There'd be none of us.
Right.
There'd be zero of us. And that's not a good it's not a good example, because obviously comedy is one of the rare things that is a self-educated process. You're self-taught. There's no other way.
Right.
You just have to pursue it. But I think there's the rigidness of university studies, the rigidness of courses, of determining what people should and shouldn't learn, what they should and shouldn't be educated in, and also the randomness of the professors that you get. Like, you could get and get a wonderful education, I'm sure.
Thank you.
Or you can get some dipshit and get taught about, how gender is a social construct.
Right.
And, and you're sitting in class all baffled, looking at your penis going, what have you done to me, you fucking monster?
John and I were talking about that the other day. Like, there's nothing like calling the UFC fights, because you start, if it's in Vegas time, you're starting the fights at 3 p.m., and you're going all the way through to the pay-per-view. You're doing like 6 hours plus of commentary, and then you got to find times to run to pee. Because sometimes it's like I have to tell the truck, can I pee? And then you got to, because I'm drinking Monster Energy drinks, and I'm taking nicotine pouches, and I'm fucking fired up, and I'm drinking a lot of water too. I'm drinking my hydrogen water, and I have to fucking pee so bad. There's nothing worse when you're trying to form a sentence and you have to pee.
Dog,
you can't think.
It has been brutal for me. Brutal. And when I eat mushrooms, I gotta pee every 20 fucking minutes.
Why?
And if I'm in a car, I gotta pull over and pee. And I gotta make sure I'm not in the sexual fucking territory. Like, I don't pee close to schools, churches, fucking parks, because then they throw you under the bus for sexual whatever.
Yeah.
And you gotta be careful. But dog, I'm in a world where there's some weeks are better than others. I don't get up at night to pee, but in the daytime, especially if I work out and I start drinking that water, oh, baby, I got to start peeing. And when I got sick, this was the beauty of it. Every time I had to pee, I'd get anxiety. I would get a panic attack. I couldn't even make it to the bathroom to walk.
Really?
I was peeing my pants on the way to the fucking bathroom, Joe. You have no idea that the last week of February, when I went to the hospital in March, that was possibly... That Saturday night, my blood pressure was 212 over 100, and my oxygen level was at 86. And I wouldn't go to the hospital because I didn't want the ambulance coming to get me at 4 in the morning in front of my daughter. So I waited till 8, and then I drove myself to the hospital. I was fucked up, bro.
Wow.
That was a fucked up couple months, man. I didn't know what was going on.
And what did they determine it was?
It was... I had congenital heart failure, when you have fluid in your lungs, edema, whatever. I was retained. Bro, I walk around, right now I'm 278. I was 265 all summer because I was really happy every day. I would go, look, I could fight in the UFC. When I walked into the hospital, I was 319.
Oh, you got big.
I got big in a month. Like a month. And I wasn't eating in the hospital, nothing.
What were you, was it like Italian food? Like, what got you so big?
No, I was just retaining water. Edema is when you retain water.
Oh.
Like big time
that much water?
Oh, my God, Joe. And my lungs was getting the water, so I couldn't breathe. And then when I would not, it went from me just having to stop. Like, if I would walk from here, I wouldn't make it to your bathroom. Couldn't make it to your bathroom. I'd have to stop in between and take like a 5-minute breath. Meanwhile, holding my peeing.
Oh, Jesus.
And your fucking stress level's going up and up because you're holding your fucking peeing. It got to the point I would walk into ShopRite, get what I had to get, but now I got to stand there because I got to fucking pee from the walking.
Oh, no.
And the bathroom's a mile away. There's no walking. You just take your dick out and pee. There's no even...
Oh, my God.
In those days, it wasn't even getting the container from the car because I started bringing the container in the car. There was no time. You just get out, open the car door, and make believe you're waving at somebody. And you take your dick out, and you're peeing, or I make believe like I'm getting something from the back of the car. The whole time I'm peeing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, man. So as soon as I went in, they put me on these fucking things for 3 days, and I lost like 20 pounds of fluid. It was fucking amazing. I was peeing one of those full things, 1 an hour.
Really?
Couldn't even make it to the bathroom. I would just get up and fucking pee in it, fill it up. And then they did a nuclear blood test. And they had to take out, I don't know, fucking 6 tubes of blood in 45 minutes. And that's when they came back and they go, you got 65%. You're overloaded on fluid in your body. You're retaining that much water and your blood cells are off the charts. So we got to start draining. I started draining. They were taking, I don't know how many tubes from me every 3 hours of blood.
Wow.
Look at my fucking arms. They're fucking banged up. I look like a fucking heroin junkie. So when I got out, I started taking it. Listen, when you end up in a hospital, there's a problem. Okay? There's a problem.
Yeah,
you cut a stitch, that's not a problem. You had a situation. That's how I looked at it. There's a problem here. We got to get to the bottom of this fucking.
And what is the bottom of it? What's the cause of it?
I was taking MK677.
What is that?
And it's a amino acid peptide which mimics growth hormone in your brain. And it had a lot of dumps, like it would do insulin dumps and all this type of shit. And it was raising my sugar. It was doing a ton of shit. I didn't even know it. But this ain't the first time it happened. It happened when I was doing testosterone when I was 50. I had a rush of red blood cells, and I was in D.C., and I had the worst fucking migraine headache for days. And they took blood out, and they go, you got too many red blood cells.
Wow.
So that's why I can't do any of that shit. And it's like the man said, if you're going to do growth, do growth. Don't get something that's going to mimic growth.
What Ways to Well can do for you...
What's that?
What Ways to Well could do for you will change your fucking life.
Yeah, no.
We get you a full blood panel and figure out what's going on, adjust your nutrition, adjust your
I love
vitamins.
Bringham's a good fucking man.
He's the best.
And he loves what he does.